Curiosities about lefties. It is estimated that approximately 10% of the world population is left-handed. It is a seemingly irrelevant fact, but, for many years and in different cultures, having more skill in the left hand has been a source of discrimination and social stigma. Myth: left-handers live less. Myth: left-handers live less. This is one of the most popular myths about left-handed people that emerged from two highly skewed studies published by psychologists Diane F. Halpern and Stanley Coren in 1988 and 1991. Myth: lefties are smarter. Myth: left-handed people are smarter. One of the classic explanations for this myth is that left-handers use the right hemisphere of the brain more. However, we know that intelligence has many dimensions: emotional, analytical, spatial, and, on the other hand, the most recent research has shown, on the one hand, that using more of one area or another of the brain is not related to having more or less intelligence. And, on the other hand, it is not true that left-handers use more of the right hemisphere. Myth: left-handers have more tendency to leadership. Myth: left-handers are more inclined to leadership. Only in the U.S. has there been a large proportion of left-handed presidents: Gerald Ford, Ronald Reagan, George H. Bush, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama. Chance? Well, surely. There is no scientific evidence to say that left-handers stand out as leaders. Myth: left-handers have more learning problems. Myth: left-handers have more learning problems. Until very recently, the left-handed was considered a deviation, and as such it was about correcting from the school. It is normal that these children forced to write and handle with their right hand had more delays in learning, since they were not being allowed to use their left hand. Myth: lefties get sick more. Myth: left-handers become sicker. In 1994, Philip Ryden, an expert in the history of psychology, denied this theory after analyzing a total of 89 studies, in which more than 21,000 patients had participated. Myth: lefties are more introverted. Myth: left-handed people are more introverted. There are no studies that corroborate this aspect. On the contrary, a work carried out by researchers from New Zealand found that there are no differences in extroversion, responsibility, kindness and emotional stability between left-handed and right-handed people. Other famous lefties. Other famous lefties: Gandhi, Adolf Hitler, Greta Garbo, Marilyn Monroe, Vladimir Putin, George Bush Sr., Bill Clinton, Diego Armando Maradona, Barack Obama or Aristotle are part of the huge cast of left-handed personalities. Left-handed musicians. Left-handed musicians: Jimi Hendrix, Paul McCartney, David Bowie, Kurt Cobain, Noel Gallagher and Sting are some of the most outstanding lefties in the world of modern music. Left-handed artists. Left-handed artists: Michelangelo, Rubens, M.C. Escher, Van Gogh, Lewis Carroll, and we quote again the versatile Leonardo da Vinci. Left-handed astronauts. Left-handed astronauts: Buzz Aldrin, Charles Duke, Jim Lovell and Ed Mitchell are some famous astronauts with more skill in the left hand. Left-handed scientists. The most famous are Leonardo da Vinci, Marie Curie, Isaac Newton, and Alan Turing. Gadgets for left-handed. Gadgets for lefties: Ned Flanders, the neighbor of The Simpsons, decides in one of the chapters to open a store with products for lefties, called the Leftorium. In the real world, the first establishment specialized in this subject was opened in London and is called Anything Left-Handed. Nowadays, and above all thanks to online commerce, left-handed people have it easier and have proliferated products and gadgets such as pens designed so that they do not run ink, can openers, scissors, chairs with a table attached to the left side and along, etc. How many lefties are there in the world? How many lefties are there in the world? It is estimated that 1 in 10 people in the world is left-handed, and it is also a more frequent characteristic in men than in women. In Spain there are around 5 million left-handed people. Do lefties have more sleep problems? Do lefties have more sleep problems? It is not entirely clear, but this statement comes from a work in which 94% of the left-handed participants experienced rhythmic movements of their legs while they slept, a fact that is associated with a worse quality of sleep. Difficulties in day-to-day. Although left-handedness is no longer a cause for social stigma, left-handers encounter some difficulties in the use of everyday objects. One of the most classic are scissors. Sinisterphobia. Sinisterphobia. People who suffer from this strange phobia are afraid of everything that has to do with the left side. They do not take things that are on this side and avoid relating to left-handed people. Why are we left-handed or right-handed? Why are we left-handed or right-handed? According to the latest research, published in the Life magazine, it is not the brain but the spinal cord that determines this trait. According to its authors, the gene activity in the spinal cord is asymmetric already in the uterus, and the preference for the right or left hand can be traced back to that asymmetry. Are there left-handed animals? Are there left-handed animals? Yes, since laterality is not an exclusively human trait. A researcher at the University of Chicago found that chimpanzees in the wild are mostly left-handed, while those raised in captivity showed a preference for the use of the right hand. Lefties also have their day. Left-handers also have their day. The International Left-Handers Day is celebrated on August 13th. This festival emerged in 1976 to publicize the difficulties that left-handers have in a world made for right-handers and try to end the social stigma and pejorative connotations that by then had the fact of being more skilled with the left hand. And how do they write? And how do they write? Although each time we use less paper and more the computer, when we write by hand we do it from left to right, and this is a problem for left-handed people, who if they put the right arm can go stained with ink and blur the paper as they move. This is the reason why most left-handed writers write with a crooked arm. Leonardo da Vinci, one of the most illustrious lefties, solved this problem in his codices and notebooks using specular writing. Why are there so few lefties? Why are there so few lefties? According to a paper published in 2012 in the Journal of the Royal Society Interface, the fact that we are a species that cooperates to survive has a lot to do with the prevalence of right-handers. Cooperation favors the use of the same hand in order to share the tools. The fact that there are 10% of left-handed people in the world indicates that our species is not totally cooperative, but that there is also a certain degree of competence, according to the authors of the study, after analyzing the results of a mathematical model detailed in the work.